Okay.
That's dope. So you do a lot of traveling around with with the cons coming up and stuff like that. And I had actually got to speak to Karen Ashley at BlerdCon about the same thing. So how does it feel now that in the age of nostalgia that everybody's seeing you at the cons and experiencing the cons and you seeing fans of the show? How does that feel? Like how does it feel for you? And what's the positives about it?
Well, you know that Karen, Ashley, and I both own a con. Ranger
Yeah,
Stop and Pop is
Ranger
our
Stop and Pop.
yeah. So she had been doing cons a lot longer than I have. And so when I started doing cons, I think it was probably like 2008 or 2009. I really had no idea the fandom that Power Rangers had. I didn't know that we had a cult following around the world. You
Hmm.
know, when I was on the show, obviously we didn't have social media, we didn't have
Right.
Facebook and
Yeah.
Twitter and all of that stuff, and we had MySpace. And I remember somebody emailing me on MySpace, messaging me and asking me about going to cons, and I was like, "What is a con? What is this?"
Are you
I
trying to
didn't know what it
con
was.
me? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "What?"
uh,
And cosplay, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, there's people cosplaying as you. And I was like, what is that? So I didn't know any of it. Well, I remember going to my first con and I was just so surprised that people remembered
right.
me.
Hmm.
They remembered my different episodes that I was in, and it was I was really blessed and honored that I had changed some people's lives. Some of
Right.
my storylines have changed people's lives and inspired them. That Power Rangers, even in its entirety, had inspired people to get into martial
Hmm.
arts, inspired them to stand up to their bullies, had inspired them in so many ways. And I had no idea that it had appealed to so many people when I was on the show back then, because to me it was like, okay, this is work. We're doing public service announcements. Hopefully we can change lives. But it wasn't until years later that I discovered that the impact that it
Right.
made on other people, and it's a blessing. I enjoy going to cons
Yeah,
and
yeah.
comic book signs.
Well, I can say honestly, that's the reason why. Because I got into karate when I was a kid. The reason why, because I wanted to be a Power Ranger, and I actually received one of my hardest injuries because I was trying to be a Power Ranger.
Oh,
I
really?
had
The bed incident.
oh, because I jumped off. I was in there with this dude. Eli's my brother. We was playing. He's like red Power Ranger, and he jumped off the bed. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna jump off the bed too. Said blue Power Ranger, and then my head hit like the edge of the desk,
It bust his whole head
Oh,
off.
and like yeah, it was out. Like I had a hole. Like
Oh
I
shit.
have a scar still right here from it.
Great times.
Really
oh, I'm
bad.
He wa-
sorry.
he was never too athletic, so I was kind of pushing it with jumping off
And
the
so
bed.
I was in the hospital, and the nurse, she came in because after I got poked with needles and I was screaming and shit, the nurse came in and gave me a Power Ranger teddy bear. It was actually a Yellow Ranger, and it was a Yellow Zero Ranger. And she's like,
Oh,
they know karate, and if you learn karate, you wouldn't get hurt like that again. And like ever since then, I wanted to get into karate, and I think a couple years later, I got into karate.
nice. Well, I'm glad you were okay.
Yeah,
And I'm sure we learned something from that situation, not to be jumping off beds with the corners of desks and hitting our head.
Unless unless you're an athletic specimen like me, then you can jump off
no, you're
bed.
not.
But
Oh,
it
no.
don't
I,
matter.
Oh,
It
I
no.
think
don't
that's where
matter.
I
It
honestly
don't
think
matter.
that's where my attention span went when I hit that side of the desk. Like that's why I can't remember stuff. That
Ah shit.